This is the Velocity VMAC9. This is a PDW style of firearm that I think is quite possibly the best PDW on the market. Brass facts. Why haven't you talked about this yet? Why are you hiding this from the people? The people need it. Typically, most people are shooting them kind of just like this in rap videos. Sideways. Not all that practical, not all that useful, but the way that I have this set up here, I think this is quite possibly a strong contender for being the ultimate PDW. We'll talk about how I have this legally in the state of California at the end of the video. So if you're from the California audience, stick around. Before we get into this, I want to say thank you to the people that support me, the sponsors of this channel, Barbell Apparel. Check them out. They make clothing, pants, jeans, fitness clothing, tactical clothing, if you want to call it that, tactical clothing. If you're into fitness, if you're into doing stuff outdoors, or if you just want jeans that are comfortable and have a little bit of stretch, check out Barbell Apparel. Tell them I sent you. If you want to shoot and you live in Southern California, check out Route 66 Shooting Sports Park down in San Bernardino, California. Excellent prices on stuff. I won't elaborate too much, but it's crazy. If you're local, hit them up. Also, thank you to Gorilla Mind. Use code Reno to save 10% off anything on their website, including this product here. It works. Anyways, great products, great supplements. Thank you. Let's get into it. So, the Velocity VMAC9. This is mine. It is legal for me to own this gun. If you want to know more, if you're in the state of California, you're like, yo, how is that legal? Watch this video to the end. We'll talk about that at the very end. But for those of you that just live in any normal state, I want to talk to you about why I think that the MAC system, the MAC 11 style firearm, is actually incredibly slept on when it comes to a PDW, a personal defense weapon. If you don't know what that concept is or why it might be useful, why it might be a good idea to have one, go ahead and watch like the 300 videos that Brass Facts has made about it. But for some reason, he's not talked about the MAC platform, which is a shame because I think these guns are actually very capable. In addition to the fact that they make you feel like a 80s gangster, the MAC platform does have a lot going for it. Even though, and we'll touch about the ergos and everything else later, even though this gun with an unloaded Sten magazine weighs about as much as an M16A1 unloaded in a gun that is just barely bigger than a pistol. So let's talk about what I have actually done, the modifications or the accessories that I have kitted onto this VMAC. So coming up real close, as you can see, this is the side charging model of this firearm. So I've owned a MAC in the past that was a top cocking MPA, which is more traditional to the platform, but I found that it was not very usable because these sights, they're not good. The sights on this gun, not good. So top rail installed already by the manufacturer on the side charging models is a must in my opinion. It makes these guns significantly more practical. Now this is a reciprocating charging handle, so lefties go ahead and watch out. The safety is a full 360-degree safety. You have safe, this is fire, boom, easy. Now, the top rail on here is factory standard for the side charging models. I added this Monstrum tactical riser, which as you can see, adds just a little bit of a diving board style system up front, which allows me to put this Roy V. Vaughan GL4 Pro from Defense Distributors onto this, and it clears the front sight, does not cast any shadow with the visible light and laser, or with the IR light and illuminator. But Roy V. Vaughan GL4 Pro, daytime and nighttime light and illuminator and laser combo. EOTech EXPS 3-0 which is just the circle. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show that. I'm not smart enough to be able to show that to you. This is the donut of death with a single dot in the center. Very nice, very easy to shoot quickly. The grip that comes with these guns from the factory is just a backstrap. And I'll show a photo over the screen. It's just a backstrap with a almost completely unusable magazine release lever, which is very difficult. So I additively manufactured, I squirted out of that little box over there, this grip and this lever from DB Firearms. It's very nice. It makes reloads significantly easier. As you can see in this video, I'll show you when we talk about the ergos and whatnot, we'll talk about reloads and why this is a huge help. The pick rail adapter on the rear here to allow you to attach any sort of brace or stock. This is the Steady Brace by A3 Tactical. This pick adapter, there's a couple other on the market, but this one is from a company called US Machine G. I'm not going to say the rest of that because YouTube sometimes does weird things when you just say certain words. Anyways, this telescoping adapter or telescoping brace system is from A3 Tactical, and I actually really like it. The way that it folds in and locks in place, so when it's closed, it's locked in place. It is not going anywhere. If you press this button and pull out, you can see that there's these little notches on either side, and what that does is when it's cleared there, you can pull it to any individual stopping point along the way, and without pressing the lever, you can pull through any one of those individual spots, but it won't collapse in on itself. This is very useful for bracing the gun and for your one-handed, gangster sideways shooting. I might swap it out for this side folding brace because the side folder is significantly better for any cheek welding that you're going to be doing with this gun, because they're just not as comfortable. They're not as good. It is what it is. I hate to say it, but it just be like that sometimes. So the ergos on this gun, they're all right. I will say that without the modifications that I have made, this gun is not as good. But with the modifications that I've made, this gun is actually a high performance gun, in my opinion. I can shoot this gun really fast. I can shoot it accurate. I was shooting torso size steel at 100 with absolutely no problem. I was shooting a little 4-inch wide or 5-inch wide by 11-inch tall, basically an A zone with a little box on top. Steel target at 75 yards today with absolutely no issue whatsoever. It's just really easy to come up, boom, 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 as fast as you can pull the trigger. Yes, it is a blowback 9, so it has a good amount of bounce, but it's so heavy. And if you really bear down on this gun, you can really control that recoil very, very easily, in my opinion. Now, I'm 6'2", so I'm not a smaller stature person, but if you are, I think that you would still have a very easy time controlling this gun, one-handed or two-handed. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to the ergonomics of this gun is the reloads. The way that a reload on this gun works, because it does not lock open on the last round, you're going to get a click. So when you reload this gun, bullets would be facing backwards. Gun goes click, strip it out. That's the more reliable method. I recommend stripping that mag out first. Then the gun kind of meets at the angle here. You slip around and then you rack it. If you put the magazine in and then come over the front, you're gonna get all bound up. You're gonna get all bound up here. But if you, as like a beer can grip, come in here, put it in, slip around, you can rack it like that. So that's an option. Now, I don't have the thickest palms, so this isn't really super viable for me. It is sometimes, but it's not as consistent for me. So if I'm shooting a gun and it goes dry, I can do this sort of action with it braced against my body. I'll show you here. If I go like that, I can get it to drop, but I've got to kind of like, it's a very, if I go too far, I can pinch the mag here and it doesn't drop free. Probably done a little bit faster than stripping it out first, but stripping it out first is more reliable because it's very easy to mess this up and not get it to come out perfectly. So that's kind of like how I would recommend reloading. So the big thing that I think differs with this gun than my old MPA Defender, which was Masterpiece Arms version or iteration of this gun, is this trigger. When you pull the trigger, it's pretty nice actually. And then when it resets, like it's actually, it's a nice trigger. The closest thing that I would be able to describe this as would be kind of like an AK trigger, but a little bit crisper. Honestly, the trigger is not bad at all. And on the Masterpiece Arms pistols, those guns had such crazy trigger slap, meaning that when the gun reset, it would just beat the hell out of your finger. Now, it wasn't something that you would notice like immediately, but after a couple hundred rounds in a day, it would get very annoying. Now with this gun, I don't notice that whatsoever. It just is a significantly better trigger. Like I would legitimately take this over some of the mil-spec cheapo AR-15 triggers that I've felt in my time. A lot of people are going to dog on the fact that it's got no last round bolt hold open and that the magazine well is pretty tight, meaning that the space that you have to get it in is a pretty tight space. Those are also problems on everybody's favorite gun, the MP5, and it's also a problem on most PDW type firearms like this that I've seen personally. So is it ideal? No, but it's really not that big of a deal, and not having last round bolt hold open and having to put the magazine in, reach under and rack, that sounds a lot like another firearm that people seem to really love and not accept any negative opinion about, which would be the AK. So in my opinion, I think these guns are actually, unironically, they shoot well, they're inexpensive, they're legal in the state of California, unlike some other things, and they are generally just a pleasing gun to shoot. Now, I do have to mention, we'll talk about this in the legality also, but this normally has a 3/4 inch by 10 threaded barrel, but I had to permanently attach a thread protector on this for the state of California purposes, but you can get these in 1/2 by 28 threading as well. As I've talked about online, these use Sten magazines, and you can get surplus metal Sten mags that have been limited to 20 rounds. You can, in theory, make these 30 again, but these are 20 round mags, and these are much more reliable in my experience than the 30s that I've messed around with. They've been pre-limited to 20 with these like brass liners, and they work. They're pretty heavy, but they're inexpensive. These MPA magazines may or may not work in your specific MAC pistol, but it's all about whether or not they'll fit. And MPA actually has some information online about fitting these, because one of my magazines, one of my polymer mags, and I'll show you this, it doesn't lock into place. It locks in, but the second you shoot the gun, it drops out. That's magazine number 4, baby. So other than the fact that one of my surplus magazines was damaged and would not fit into the gun, or if you could get it into the gun, it would get stuck and you'd have to like rip it out. Other than that, and other than one of my MPA polymer magazines not locking in place, I've actually had 0 issues that are actually related to the gun. These metal magazines, when they go in, they have a little bit of wobble, which is normal. And when I was trying to, I'm gonna have to blurt that out. When I was trying to rapidly engage the trigger in a shaking manner by holding it by the mag here and pulling into the trigger, it didn't cycle once, but that's because the magazine is able to move at an angle that doesn't allow it to feed properly, but they're supposed to be free floating like that. So Other than that, I've actually had zero issues with these guns' reliability, and I've shot hollow points through this gun. I've shot 115 grain, 124 grain. I've shot some aluminum case 115 grain out of this. No problem whatsoever, which I don't think a lot of people can say about their rather expensive PDWs that they've dabbled with. Let's talk now about the legality of this firearm in the state of California. So as you can imagine, this gun is not on the California approved handgun roster, which is a problem that is workaroundable, and that's how we did this. This firearm, unfortunately, it not being on the handgun roster, you know, we're trying to fix that with the CRPA, the lawsuit Boland versus Bonta, which I'm a plaintiff of. Support the CRPA in their efforts, donate to them. This gun was made as a single shot exempt pistol, meaning that the gun transferred to me was only capable of firing a single round before you would have to rack the action, put a round in the barrel, close the action, and then pull the trigger. So it was a single shot firearm with a barrel length that was over the required minimum length and an overall length over the required minimum length for a single shot exempt pistol. Don't ask me why these laws are written the way that they are. They just are written the way that they are, and we produced a firearm that was legal to transfer as a single shot pistol in the state of California. Now, this gun's mine now, and it's not. But when you make a firearm semi-auto, you have to worry mainly about the assault weapon ban in the state of California. So I'm going to read to you Penal Code section 30515, and we're going to be talking about the part that talks in relation to pistols. So a semi-automatic pistol that does not have a fixed magazine, so semi-auto, the magazine is not fixed, does it have any of the following features? That's the test that we're looking at currently. So this gun is semi-auto, yes. This gun has the capability of accepting detachable magazines, which that means we have to look at certain features and determine if it has it. A is a threaded barrel. Now, this gun from the factory came with a threaded barrel, but what I did was permanently attached a thread protector onto this barrel, deactivating the threads. This gun is no longer in possession of a threaded barrel that is capable of accepting a flash suppressor, forward hand grip, or a silencer. Now, B is a second hand grip. There is no second hand grip. I don't have a vertical foregrip. I don't have an angled foregrip. If I were to grab here on this gun, it would burn the hell out of my hands. It would jam the hell out of my hands here. There is nowhere else to grab this gun. There is no second hand grip. This is the only hand grip. This gun is designed to be fired with one hand. You can fire it with two hands, but it's designed to be fired with one hand. Part C of that is a shroud that is attached to or partially or completely encircles the barrel that allows the bearer to fire the weapon without burning the bearer's hand, except a slide that encloses the barrel. That is a barrel shroud, which here's some photo examples of what that is. Think your hand guard on an AR, anywhere for you to like grab your hand around like that. Those big old funky suppressors that they used to put on these guns that people would hold like this, you know, think that, right? So this gun doesn't have that. A lot of people talk about, well, how do you know any part of this gun isn't a barrel shroud? You know, I don't know, but I've owned one of these guns before in the past and the DOJ didn't say anything. People have owned these guns for a long time all over. These guns have been popular, and from my understanding, no one's been popped yet. So that's really the big concern, is the barrel shroud feature, but it seems as if that's not really a problem. So your mileage may vary, your opinions may vary. Do with that information as you will. Now, D is the capacity to accept a detachable magazine at some location outside of the pistol grip. This is the pistol grip. The magazines go inside of it. I have nowhere else to put the magazine. So this gun does not have any of the features. It's semi-auto and it does not have a fixed magazine, but this is a featureless pistol, just like your Glock. Just like a standard Glock 19 is a featureless pistol. So, I also, since it's not fixed magazine, I do not have to limit myself to 10 rounds. I purchased all of these magazines during Freedom Week because I've always wanted a Mac. However, the one that I had to sell because it was just simply too much for me to justify keeping that on hand. Manzano Munitions, the gun store I am an employee of, we are going to be doing some of these. I have to be very cagey about the words that I say because YouTube doesn't like it. But we're going to be doing some, and you can get on a list with them. That's it. They're not going to be outrageous. They're not going to be fully kitted out. There's going to be room for you to upgrade if you would like. But yeah, these guns are solid in my opinion. Legality-wise, you're going to have to make that determination if you're comfortable with that yourself. But me personally, I am, and I know many other people are. I know other gun stores do guns like these. I know they build things like this, and they've sold them for many years. Obviously, based on the fact that I had previously been able to purchase one, I think, you know, I'm comfortable owning this. Whether you are or not, that's up to you. Let me know what you guys think. Personally, I think that these are very capable PDWs. They're really easy to use and shoot, and they fit in this Savior bag just perfectly. It's pretty close. It's a tight fit, but they fit in these bags, and it's easy to take this around, whereas driving around with a rifle or anything like that would not be as conducive for ease of travel. So you guys can do with that information as you please. Let me know if you're interested in one. Just drop a comment. What do you think about them? You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.